Well, that's an interesting story. I wasn't born into a Baha'i family. I come from a very Irish Catholic family, and I was the one in the family to be the priest, they thought. I could say the whole Mass in Latin, etc. All my education was in Catholic schools, and I'm very proud of that background, by the way. Becoming a Baha'i does not mean you reject your past. It's going forward, the same as the Christians added to Judaism. They didn't reject it. I was taking a course in London, and the professor was Baha'i. I'd never heard of it. I thought it was B'nai B'rith, which is a Jewish men's organization. They're nice people, so I went to his house after the course was over, and he had what we call firesides. Now, in the Baha'i faith, we don't have clergy. It's one of the things that the founder of the Baha'i faith, Baha'u'llah, changed. Okay, he paid respect to the clergy of the past, but he said in this age, people need to exercise independent investigation of truth. So I learned what we used to call the 12 principles. Independent investigation of truth, the oneness of God, the oneness of religion. God is not in competition with himself. If you look at the various religions, they teach much the same according to the capacity of the age. Okay? I used to teach, by the way, world religions. And so I was intrigued with what we call the social teachings, the 12 principles, one of which is the harmony of science and religion, which says that if religion teaches something contrary to science, it's a superstition. Now, but I was not looking at the figure of Baha'u'llah. Now remember, I'm a Christian and of the Catholic persuasion, the largest denomination in Christianity. And so the professor said to me once, he said, "So what do you think of Baha'u'llah?" And I was really disturbed. I was really disturbed by the question. Because, and later on I understood why, but you have to, here I am sitting in 2,000-year-old slippers, very comfortable. I knew all the traditions, as I say, could say the Mass, and I was an altar boy, etc., etc. And to entertain the question of Baha'u'llah suggests change, and a lot of people fear change. They would prefer the status quo. There's a modern play, it's called Streetcar Named Desire, at the end of which Blanche says, "I can't afford to believe that." And what she meant was that if she allows herself to accept the truth, her whole world will change. Now, it's not like that in terms of the new revelations that we receive. What we fear is absolutely irrational, okay? God would not send something to us that is going to have a negative effect, okay? All revealed religions come from the same source, and they are designed for two primary reasons. One, the transformation of the individual, and the transformation of the society. And every messenger has been successful in his mission, although the mission has changed throughout the ages. So I then, after he asked me the question, I started to read a little bit more about the life of Baha'u'llah, the sufferings, his early childhood. He didn't go to school, he had no formal education, and yet from a very early age, just like Christ, he was seen to be extraordinary. Seen to be very different, okay? He had this kind of innate knowledge. Remember Christ talking to the Jewish elders in the temple at the age of 12. Well, same thing with Baha'u'llah at the age of 8. Okay, they realized, his teachers, that they couldn't teach him. Okay, they just couldn't teach him. Now, Baha'u'llah is preceded by another figure known as the Bab. The Bab means the gate. Jesus said, "I shall come by way of the gate." To Baha'is, Baha'u'llah is the return of Christ. And I can remember leaning forward on a couch in London some 40 years ago and saying, "Are you saying that Christ has returned?" And the professor said, "Yes." And I said, "Oh." It was an astounding claim. Okay, and it is an astounding claim, but this is the clear claim of Baha'u'llah. And if we are seekers of truth, if, for example, I as a Christian consider myself loyal to Christ and his covenant, then that includes investigating him on his return, accepting him on his return. Baha'u'llah does not expect, and actually is quite against, blind faith. We are supposed to investigate, but we need to be fair in our judgment. because he says very clearly, the evidence is there, the proof is there. Okay? If you look at it carefully, and now I'm making this statement as a Baha'i today, it is overwhelmingly obvious. I became a Baha'i in London some 42 years ago, and that was just the beginning, as they say. Okay? No one comes to a point of knowing everything. No one's spiritual journey is over on this plane of existence until we take the great adventure. So that's how I became a Baha'i. I was the first one in my family, and you know, Baha'is come from every background you can imagine. It's the most widespread faith in the world. People come from atheism to the Baha'i faith. They also come with all kinds of hang-ups, all kinds of problems. But the purpose of faith is to heal, is to educate, is to ennoble. And the last statement I'll make is the Baha'i faith is about, according to Shoghi Effendi, the material, the social, the intellectual, and the spiritual regeneration of humanity. The spiritual being at the top is what will influence the others.